So today we're going to be looking at the newest addition to the Parkside 20-volt team entourage with the new cordless soldering iron from Parkside. This is the PLSA20-Li A1, the first generation in this series of tools. As you can see, it's a very compact iron that you can mount to your 2 amp hour or 4 amp hour Parkside battery. It says right here on the box, 1 minute heat up time, a maximum tip temperature of 480 degrees. That sounds a bit high to me, but we'll see what happens with that. Other points on the box, we have some included accessories, an additional tip, and some cheap solder included. Otherwise, on the back here, nothing much. Made in China, coming from the Copernas reseller that does a lot of tools for little. So without further ado, let's break into this box and see what's waiting inside. So once we get into this box, we have our manual as expected, the soldering iron itself, and a little envelope of goodies. So let's get this box out of the way. And here we have our iron in its little holder. Inside our accessory box, we have 2 types of lead-free solder, presumably, and this fairly thick chisel type soldering tip, and that little sponge you can pop on here. Otherwise, as we can see on the iron, it's fairly nicely built. Surprisingly enough, it comes with the ubiquitous Heiko 900M soldering tip system. We have the pointed soldering tip installed. This is going to be a great boon to anybody who does any kind of soldering at home, because we all seem to have plenty of these 900M tips lying around. So this will be a really good system to actually use. In the past, Parkside have used some kind of weird like grub screw soldering tip fixing systems, all totally useless. Very lucky here to have the standard 900M setup. So let's just have a quick look at the manual before we look at the iron itself, just to get some pointers and information. So on the info page here, so 20-volt battery, temperature range here, they're giving us 300 to 480 degrees. That seems fairly wide. Doesn't seem too precise. Nothing more on the instructions there. So let's get into the iron itself. So we have fairly simple operation, just this one button here, this sort of sponge holder pad here, the nice spring to hold everything together. On the side here, we do have the, let's see if we can get this to focus at all. We have the model information. Let's get this in focus. Yep, nothing too special here. Otherwise, fairly decent packaging. Of course, when we bring in our battery and we just slide it on here, you can see that we really have something solid on the workbench. So with especially the big 4 amp hour battery, this isn't going to tip over or run away on you. So operation wise, we just have the one red button here. One press turns it on, we get a red LED. Fast blink is heating up. If we press it again, it goes to slow blink, cooling down. If we let this heat up further, it should turn green when the temperature is ready to go. So let's just put this off to the side here and bring in a little test piece to solder. So I believe with the 4 amp hour battery, you should expect more than an hour of soldering time. There is a 10-minute timer built into the system, so it'll automatically shut off when you're not using it. So that's fairly handy to keep your battery alive if you forget to turn it off if you leave your station. So as we can see, it's heating up. Now we have our green LED, so we're at temperature. We can flow some solder onto the tip as you can see. Plenty of smoke. If we bring it onto our fairly massive copper PCB here, we can see we are melting solder like nobody's business. Certainly note the amount of smoke. As you can see, even with these previous solder blobs, we are able to melt them fairly quickly, and even with that massive copper backplane pulling the heat away, we have no problems soldering onto this thing very quickly. One thing I want to mention, as you can see here towards the tip, we already have a bit of discoloration here with the sort of strawish yellow color going on this holder and even on the tip itself. We already have some kind of yellowish purple discoloration, and you might notice the solder on the tip is oxidizing very quickly. So let's go forward and actually measure the tip temperature we have on this thing. Get our handy soldering iron tip thermometer thingy out. Let's measure the soldering temperature. If you remember, on the instruction manual, they were giving us a range of 300 to 480 degrees. Fairly useless. Obviously, no temperature control on here, just on and off. So if we put this onto our thermocouple here, let's see the temperature we are achieving. Let me just position this correctly. Wow, 460. Let's see if we flow a bit of fresh solder onto here. There's smoke, there's fire, of course. 470 some degrees. Wow. 460, 470. So this tip here is smoking hot. And as you can actually see, there's quite a bit of oxidation on the tip going on, and we certainly have a good amount of discoloration already on the holder here. So let's pop this back into the holder. As you can see, very sturdy thing to have, either fixing something on the car or on the go. Not going to flop over. So now it's gone into its cool down mode. That should cool down within a certain time. Then this whole thing will shut off and conserve its battery. So certainly we can say this is a very useful tool to have on the go, but the main problem we have here is the excessive soldering tip temperature. So 470 degrees is way off the chart. You're going to oxidize your solder, you're going to oxidize your tip. That is not going to help the longevity of this iron. So if you want to check out part 2 of this video somewhere on the screen, wherever, you should be able to see it. We're going to dive into the internals of the soldering iron and see how we can achieve temperature control. So either a nice little knob we can set the temperature out here, or at least bring the tip temperature down to somewhere in the region of 375 degrees, where this will be much more useful and have a much longer life. So please like and subscribe. It always helps when you get a response to these videos and motivate oneself to make new videos, and check out part 2 on how to modify this bad boy into something that will be useful for years to come. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.